Hello everyone, welcome to the monthly NRHS Iowa Chapter YouTube slideshow. If you're interested in more information about the Iowa Chapter, please visit iowanrhs.com. There you can join the chapter or renew your membership and order any of the great products that the Iowa Chapter has to offer, including DVDs and photo collections. Please enjoy the program this month and consider visiting iowanrhs.com. Hello everyone. This month we're going to have a fantastic slideshow from Rick Byrne about a trip that he took through Mexico about 60 years ago. Some fantastic photography, some pretty rare stuff that he's going to share with us. However, before we get into Rick Byrne's program, I want to spend just a brief moment and talk about an upcoming Iowa Chapter event. The Iowa Chapter is hosting a 70th anniversary dinner at Mount Pleasant, and we are commemorating the history of the Iowa Chapter at this dinner. Now, if you go to iowanrhs.com and you click on this Iowa Chapter 70th anniversary dinner, there's more details here. We are going to be meeting on Saturday, April 15th of 2023 at the Old Threshers Grounds in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. We are going to have trolley rides available. There will be, the car barns will be open and you'll be able to walk through and see all the historical equipment that the Old Threshers have at their facilities. The trolley rides will begin at 2 p.m. I have a chapter business meeting at 4 p.m. and then a catered dinner at 5 p.m. The keynote speaker is going to be Don Hofsummer. He's going to start talking about a history of the Iowa Chapter presentation, which he's going to put on following the completion of our catered dinner. So this is $50 a plate. You can go to the iowanrhs.com website and order your tickets there. Or you can mail in a check to Treasurer of Iowa Chapter NRHS, 3088 Newcastle Road, Marion, Iowa, 52302. It is the same address that the switch lamp comes from as well. So, please consider attending the 70th anniversary of the Iowa Chapter, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. And now, we will go on to Rick Byrne's program. Hello, this is Tom Hogan. I'm here with Rick Byrne today for this is our January 2023 Iowa Chapter slideshow. And Rick is going to be sharing with us today a presentation from a trip that he took to Mexico in the 1960s. So, Rick, go ahead and share with us a little bit of the backstory and how we got here, and then take it away.
Hey, Tom, thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, I was very fortunate in the 1960s. I was a student in Navy ROTC at the University of Wisconsin. And every summer we had to take cruises. The first summer, and this slide is actually from the second summer, but the summer of '64, three of us who are still in close contact today went to San Diego by train. But for $12 extra over the regular fare of going from Chicago to San Diego on the Santa Fe, we took the Illinois Central Green Diamond to St. Louis, the Texas Eagle to Laredo, the Aztec Eagle to Mexico City, spent over a week in Mexico City, then took train number 8, a 41-hour ride to Ciudad Juarez, which, by the way, was speeded up the following year to 26 hours. And then at the Juarez station, we got a taxi, and in 35 minutes, we loaded the luggage in the taxi, cleared customs, and caught a late Sunset Limited running west to LA, and then took the Santa Fe down to San Diego. This shot is from a second trip. The next year, I was in Corpus Christi, Texas, when they told us to go back home, because we were finished with our training. We took a bus to Laredo. I took a train to Mexico City and a bus to Acapulco with 2 other guys. Came back to Mexico City, took the all-Pullman El Regiomontano up to Monterrey, and that's where this picture is taken. So this is 1965, Monterrey, Mexico.
Yes, and we have was this a common railroad crossing marking in Mexico?
Yes, it was. It's a stop sign and warns you of a train coming.
Right. And you can actually see in the background of the picture, the tracks actually laid into the highway there.
Right. This is a shot taken in 1968. This is not one of my pictures, but this is in Nogales, across the border from Nogales, Arizona. And this is the train that ran down the West Coast. This is actually not part of the National Railways of Mexico at this point. It's still a Southern Pacific subsidiary going to Guadalajara.
So even though we're in Mexico, some very familiar looking equipment. It looks like they have a Alco RS switch engine there on the head end.
That's correct.
And
And you will
then,
see streamlined coaches. I believe number 3 car is a streamlined coach.
yeah, yeah, I see that.
This photo was taken in Mexico City in 1964 when we were on this wild trip to San Diego. This is out at the yards. Narrow gauge was very prevalent and very steam oriented. This is in Los Reyes, which is just outside Mexico City.
Now, when you say narrow gauge, is this 3-foot gauge?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Much of the Mexican rail system was built to 3-foot gauge.
Okay.
This is a local train in the Buena Vista station, obviously a mixed train, Buena Vista being the huge station, built probably in the late 50s. No through passenger service in Mexico today, but you can see what kind of trains they were running.
Yeah, single box car and a Celestory chair car, it looks like. Or
Right.
clear story. Yes. And then is this an EMDF unit on the head end as well?
That's an EMD unit, yes.
Right.
And it could be used from somewhere else. You know, one of the other railroads may have sold it to the NDM. The
Oh
National
yeah,
Railways of
because
Mexico.
certainly by 65 EMD was already doing their trade-in programs at this point.
Right. This is another yard shot in Mexico City or at Los Reyes. Again, trespassing was no big deal. You just walked in and took pictures.
Yeah, this is part of the narrow gauge network again.
Yes, it is. In fact, if you'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, you've got the double gauge rather.
Yeah, triple track, the dual gauge. Yes.
Again, this picture is taken at Buena Vista Station. This is MU cars coming in from somewhere. I'm not sure at this point. You can also see an outbound train getting ready to go.
Right. Is this the Mexican equivalent of interurban service?
No, this is mainline commuter service, most likely.
Okay.
This picture is taken on the trip going down from from Laredo down to Mexico City. We had a New York Central observation car, or ex-New York Central. That's where the picture is taken from. You can see a rather long train, lots of coaches. You did go first class. We were warned about that before.
Okay.
Another shot in Mexico City in the yards, a mixed train, those people just hanging on.
Right. So they ran passenger service in the narrow gauge as well at this time?
Oh yeah, up through about 67, 68. That was a big deal for a lot of my contemporary friends like Ron Salters and Roger Puta. Many of you probably seen the Roger Puta slide collection. He went down with Salters in 66, and this was still running.
Okay.
Here we are again at Los Reyes, Mexico, a passenger train getting ready to leave to go down the branch lines.
Yeah.
Again, and this is in the narrow gauge yards in Mexico City.
I'm trying to look at these. Are these all 280s? These
I believe they are. I think you're correct.
Yeah.
This is not a museum operation we're looking at. This is real service to people and freight.
Yeah.
Another shot of a different locomotive there.
Yeah, different number, but you can see really clearly for this one. It's definitely
Right.
a 280. Yep.
That's a similar shot, Tom, of the same one, I think.
Yeah. I really like the very colorful crests that they have, the NDM crest on the tenders and on the locomotives in some
Right.
places.
For everybody listening to this program, by the way, NDM is National Railways of Mexico. I think we need to get that clarified.
Yes, we should have. Yes, because you'll see Pacifico, you'll see NDM. I don't know if there's any other ones here.
This is north of Mexico City going in June of 64, going south again.
Very pictorial view going through the mountains.
Right. This is again another shot. This, I believe, is number 8 going up to Juarez. It was a
So,
much shorter train than the Aztec Eagle.
right. It looks to me like you've got 3 Jeep 9s pulling this one. 2 that are
Yes.
chop nose, and did they ran steam heat on these as well with steam generators?
No, this line was all the standard gauge was diesel by the time I got down there.
Well, right, but that third engine is a high hooded Jeep. I'm curious if it did have a steam generator for the
Right.
heat in the coaches.
Right.
Okay.
And you notice the air conditioning is open the window on the coach cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't imagine there was a lot of, maybe in the very dead of winter that you'd really want the heat.
This is taken right in front of the depot. This was on display there in front of Buena Vista Station, Mexico City.
Yeah.
And this is Agua Calientes. This is headed up towards Juarez. Steam power primarily in freight service.
Is this narrow gauge again?
No, this is standard gauge.
Okay, because I was gonna say the drivers on these are much bigger.
This is standard gauge in freight service.
Right. But they're still consolidations, but they're much
Right.
bigger locomotives.
Again, another display locomotive.
Yeah, this one is an actual tank engine too.
Right. This is on display at Agua Calientes.
Looks like a 464 this time.
Right. Here we are back at the Mexico City yards, again, standard gauge power.
Yep. And now, were they buying these Northerns new, or were these secondhand as well?
Probably were secondhand. I don't know. The end is coming very soon. I mean,
Okay.
by the time PUTA went down in 66, the steam was still on the narrow gauge, but it was not running on the photo you're showing.
Right. That's a
This is
pretty...
in June of 60, excuse me, this is August of 65.
Right, so they were within a couple of years of being done with
Right.
steam power, yeah.
Again, this is leaving Mexico City's yard.
Yep. And another Northern. Was this the biggest power that they rostered, do you know?
I don't know that. I can't comment on that. Again, in the yard in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
We were very fortunate on the trip in '64 that we had my father's had a law partner in Mexico City in his firm, and his son was a year older than I was and drove us around. So we had a car with a driver who spoke Spanish and English fluently. So that made it very easy for the other 3 of us.
Definitely. So, when looking at this one, is there a passenger depot there in the background? Is that what's got all the big block
No,
lettering
I think
along
that's
the
a
roof?
yard office.
Oh, a yard
What is
office?
this thing? Is this a 210-4? 210?
No, this is another Northern. It's a
Oh,
484.
is there another Northern? Okay.
Yep. It's the same numbering sequence as the other Northerns also. It looked like they were all 3000 numbers.
Another shot in Mexico City.
Oh, little better picture there.
Yes,
You can see you've got. What are they servicing the coaches? Is that what they're doing?
I think so. This is yes, a coach yard.
I like that. Again, I really like that shield with the Mexican flag there on the nose as well. It's a nice touch.
Yes. Is on the turntable in Mexico City. And this is just a switch engine coming in from the coach yard.
So, what exactly kind of a switch engine is this?
According to Marty Bernard, who digitizes, is an EMD G12 export locomotive.
Okay. Yeah, the square nose definitely threw me off a bit there.
This is at a coach yard in Mexico City. And there's one of those New York Central observation cars that they bought. This was taken again at Agua Calientes on the train going up to Juarez.
So is he assembling a train here in front of the depot? Is that what's
And I think what we're doing is we're cutting out a car.
okay?
And again, this is another export locomotive. This is near the coach yards in Mexico City, a local train coming in from the countryside. I think it's important. Hey, Tom, there's another subject we haven't discussed here at all, and that is the wiring. Wires on both sides, if you'll notice. Obviously, telegraph was the only way of communication down there. Very heavy use of that.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen some of your photos have searchlight style signals also. Is that the code line being used to operate the signals as well?
Right.
But yeah, definitely unique to see it down both sides. Is this a baggage car or an RPO, or what have we got here on the head
I'd say
end?
it's a baggage car.
Okay.
This is a place called Jesus Maria, Mexico, in 1964.
Friendly crew.
Right. This is shot out the back of the observation car.
Yeah. And looks like another EMD product over there on the head end as well.
Right. Again, we don't know whether it was bought by the Mexicans or whether they bought it from another railroad as a second-hand unit.
Right.
Here we are. This is a train at Buena Vista Station, the big station in Mexico City in August of 65. And again, it's a mixed train getting ready to go with just a coach and a caboose. They'll go out to the yards and they'll add freight to that.
Ah, all right.
This is north of it's ESCOBEDO, Escobedo, Mexico. I'm slaughtering the language. This is 1965.
And this
Looks
is
like an Alco built.
yeah, I was gonna say this has a very Alco PA kind of look to it. But it's a PA, but it's in freight service, it looks like.
It could be. I think they were much more loose on what they did with stuff down there.
Right.
This again is a shot in this Escondido as we were going by there.
So we've got clearly an F, A, and B pair here in the foreground. But this 8114 in the background, that has a very Montreal Locomotive Works kind of look to it.
Probably was. Here we are at Felipe P-A-S-C-E-D-O-R, Pasadena, Mexico. This is in 1964 as we're heading north towards Juarez.
Right. So they're obviously servicing the engines, but I'm looking
Right.
at the head end of this passenger train. That's I don't know. Is there 5 baggage coaches on the head end of this train?
There's about five head-end cars and then a very long string of coaches, and then a dining car, our sleeping car, and then the observation car.
Sure. Did they do any RPO style operations down there, or was this?
That's a very good question. I don't know if they had a railway post office or not. If it would be the second car. If you'll notice, that looks like an RPO car.
It
The
does,
third car,
yeah.
excuse me. Third.
The thing that I noticed that it seems to be missing would be the arms, the swinging arms as you were to
Right.
hook as you're going by the stations.
This is in Chihuahua. New station. Uh, Again, no speed on this train, and there's nothing operating out of the station today. This is between Juarez and Montezuma, Mexico, again in June of '64.
So,
And I'm assuming that we're on, no, that's number 8. It says, I think we're on number 8. That's number 7 going southbound to Mexico City.
so I saw this photo and it just makes me cringe to think that this guy is hanging off the side of the locomotive like that while they're at speed, or are they
No,
actually
I don't think
stopped
they're
on a
moving.
siding?
I think we're moving and they're not moving.
Oh, okay.
But he's still pretty close to the train on the other track.
For sure. Yes.
Again, we're back in Buena Vista Station. This is September of '65. This train number 11, I'm not sure exactly where it was going, but obviously it had a little mixed train look to it with the boxcar right behind the locomotives.
Yep.
Back in Escondido, Mexico in '65.
So now this is another one that I looked at, and with those flared radiators on the high hood or on the short hood there, the front of the locomotive, I guess is what I want to say. Just something I've never seen before.
This is, according to Marty Bernard, an EMD G16 export locomotive.
Huh.
You notice the kids playing right around the yards, no problem there.
Yeah. This one's got a little better view of it with those flared radiators right on the right on the nose of the locomotive.
Right. Again, this is it's ESCUBEDO, Mexico. So I'm not a linguist, Tom. So if we've got some Spanish speakers on here, they may say you're slaughtering the show, but that's okay.
Yeah. And this is bigger. This is 6-axle power too, it looks like.
Right. Back in Buena Vista Station. Again with train 11.
Yep. And single locomotive on it this time. The last time we saw 11, it had a pair on it. But maybe this is a single higher horsepower locomotive also.
Right. Again, another shot between Montezuma and Juarez, Mexico. Again, you can see the ex-New York Central observation car. That's where we spent most of our time.
Mm-hmm.
Buena Vista Station again with train 27, which I believe was a local to Oaxaca, but I'm not positive on that. I'd have to look that up in the official guide. Train 71 in Buena Vista Station. Notice the old commuter coaches on the left.
Yeah.
No, those aren't, excuse me, those are not coaches. I stand corrected. That's the platforms. Back in Escondido.
Is this the same roundhouse that we saw earlier, but now it's completely dieselized?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
And I can't read the stuff across the top of the roundhouse either. You notice it's what was a roundhouse? Looks like it's built in 1918, but I'm not positive on that.
Right.
Again, Escondido. It must have been a major rest stop because there's local coaches there. The train went over and fueled, so we had plenty of time to get off and take pictures.
Yeah. And, it looks like most of the people on the train got off and walked around a little bit.
Right. Again, this is a standard gauge operation, same town again. It's taken in 1964 for freight only, obviously.
Yeah. And looks like they've got a pretty traditional small classification yard. They've got a searchlight. They've got searchlight signals there on the main. I mean, it looks like a very contemporary, even American kind of scene from maybe a decade earlier.
I was going to say, Tom, this is probably 1950 in the U.S. somewhere, if it was a U.S. shot. In other words, the
Right.
passenger train is dieselized, but the freight is still all steam.
Uh-huh.
Here we are again at that same town, Escom.
It looks like is this a tower that's over here? They've got a tower operator as well.
Apparently they do, yes.
Did you ever have the opportunity to go up into a interlocking tower at all?
No, because we were again riding the train.
Right.
Correction on that diesel shot, by the way, is 1948. Now that we look at this slide.
Yeah, it looks a lot more clear from this one. 1948, I see that as well.
Again, this is between Montezuma and Juarez. This where the people, the railroad workers lived. Pretty rough lifestyle.
Yeah, were some of them living in these camp cars as well?
Right. That's the big station in Mexico City. Very impressive. This is taken in 1965.
Yep.
Again, we're in Chihuahua. They're switching out. We must have put a car on because they switched out the observation car and put it back on. Back again to ESCUVEDO, Escobedo, Mexico.
Yep. And yeah, you can see that 7309 has 6-axle trucks, and this 122, if that's the full number, it's clearly got Alco trucks on it, but it looks it's 4-axle.
Again, the same place. This is 1965.
So is this a different railroad or just a different paint scheme?
Just a different paint scheme.
Okay.
Don't forget, it was all government-owned railroads by this time. There used to be a private line that went from Mexico City over to Veracruz. If that went out, went government-owned probably about 1950. So this is way after that.
Okay.
This is from the Aztec Eagle. Shots taken going through a community. PERTO, excuse me. Those are heavy wires on the side. And now we're back with Train 64 in Mexico City. So those of you with old official guides can look up some of these numbers and figure out what trains they were.
So this signal bridge, it's not even really a signal bridge, but it's interesting that it has A and B marked under it as well.
Yes.
So this is a 2 main line operation.
Right.
And then all of these guys that are along the track over here, are they actually doing track maintenance?
I don't know. Yeah, it's rather interesting. You see them over there.
Yeah.
Modi Power in Mexico City.
Yep. F7 A and B, it looks like.
Yes.
Oh, we got one upside down. Hang on a second
You
here.
got magna traction here, so you'll turn that one around.
Yeah, we'll turn that one the right way. There we go.
This is train 53 at Buena Vista Station. Again, it can be looked up to see where it's going.
Yep.
Train 11 again. Now we're in Chihuahua, a GP18. This is us riding on the train going down from from down Laredo to Mexico City. The gentleman on the left there with the camera is Larry Osmus, longtime friend, naval officer.
And all right, so there's two guys there with cameras.
Oh yeah, and then Bill Thomas is the other one there too as well. And
All
this is,
right.
don't forget, an ex-New York Central observation car.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. This is the inside of the NYC car.
Right. Here we are at San Luis Potosí, Mexico. We're heading into town, I should say.
Yeah. Now I put this out here because it is interesting to me to see that the track is in really good condition here. Was
Right.
that generally your experience?
Very much. After all, when you get speed, this is not the line we're talking about. It's a different line, but they speeded these trains up tremendously in 1965, 66. Again, because they, of course, had better power, and I think the lines were in better shape. I believe this is a Kansas City Southern Main line today, going down to Mexico City. Here we are again outside probably the same place actually, but you know, you can tell dirt roads, pretty barren countryside.
Right. I like that switch stand too. That's fairly unique as well.
Right.
And this is well, clearly not signaled territory that we're using hand throw switches to make meets out here.
Right. But mainline track.
Right.
Again, back at the narrow gauge warehouse in Mexico City. And we have a meet here at La Gringa, Mexico. This is in 1965.
Yep, looks like you're meeting another one of those northerns pulling
Right.
a freight there.
Yeah, we had taken the bus over from Corpus Christi, Laredo, got on the train in the U.S., went over they do the shuttle at the bridge where the engines don't leave the country. They push the train out on the bridge. The other side pulls it from the bridge, and
Okay.
this is going south the next day.
Sure.
This is outside of Mexico City again.
Yes. Was the so when you leave Mexico City, you start to climb up into the mountains to go west from
Right,
that
Mexico
direction?
City's up at, what, 7,200 feet, I believe. I'm not sure about that number, but it's fairly high.
Right.
It's got almost a perfect climate. It's 70 degrees year-round. This is in the Roundhouse, 1964 in Mexico City.
Yep, they've got her taken apart. Something went wrong.
This is great rail fanning when you can walk this close and watch what's going on.
Yeah.
Again, this is a Felipe Pescador. Looks like an Alco unit.
Yeah. Excuse me. RS1, if I had to guess.
I would think so. Again, it could be a used purchase too.
Right.
Different paint scheme. This is 64. This is in San Luis Potosí. Because you left Laredo at 6, 7 o'clock at night. You went through Monterey in the middle of the night. But at San Luis Potosí is when you came back in the daylight for the daylight ride to Mexico City.
Okay.
Again, this is south of this Escondido, Mexico.
Looks like they got some heavy rains there too. That ditch is full of water.
That's true. There's CTC, so we know it is signaled part of the way.
Yeah, this section is. Yep. It looks like they have mile posts on the signal
Right, because
mast
this is
as well.
before Metric got to Mexico.
Right.
Again, this is a branch line cutting off south of San Luis Potosí, and obviously the branch line crew is waiting for our train to clear. They look rather close to our train, though, Tom. I think in the U.S. they would have been further back.
Well, I think if it was, again, you're probably in dark territory. If they were up too close, they would have shunted the circuit. But
Right.
if this is all dark territory, hand throw territory, then it wouldn't have affected the signaling system. It looks like a Y also. It looks like there's another track curving off in the background as well.
I think it's a Y.
Yeah.
Again, south of San Luis Potosí, Mexico. This is the Agua Caliente's depot. This is the line again going up from Mexico City to Juarez.
Very impressive looking depot, honestly.
Right, 1964.
Is this, do you know if this is railroad offices as well?
I'm sure it is. And here we are near Querétaro, again going south, south in 1965.
A little closer
Another
up shot of
close-up
that.
shot.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just noticing this now also. It's got the up on the two top left corners, or corners, I shouldn't say it's a cylinder, but on either side of the front of the locomotive, it's got these little steel plates with the 5 holes in them.
I don't know what that means, but I do see that.
Yeah, I've seen those done on, like when you see the nickel plate 765, it runs with those sometimes as well.
Again, a good shot of the train. Notice he opened the window coaches. There was no air conditioning in the coaches.
Right. Is this some kind of I'm looking at this rock formation that's above the passenger cars on the left there, or some kind
Yeah,
of.
I don't know what that is. It's obviously a tight curve going around, though. We have to admit that.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going through an S curve to go around this hillside. Was did you, when you were down there? I mean, we saw the shot with where the ditch was full of water. Was there ever issues with washouts on some of these embankments?
Not that we ran into, but Mexico is fairly dry, so it's more like Arizona. When they get a washout, it's a big washout.
Yeah.
Again, a shot of the front of the train, taken from the train. This is between Agua Calientes and a town called Tecate, Mexico. Again, northbound towards Juarez.
Yeah, and you can see that the track loops around again in the background there as well.
Right. There's the observation car. Again, this is a southbound train.
So you're in the observation car for your train, and this is the one you're meeting.
Right.
Your counterpart. Yeah.
Right.
And it does look like they literally just took the New York Central logo off the back and just slapped their own right in that same spot.
That's correct. I think that was a searchlight at the top of the car, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
You know, they'd have the light on at night so you could see what was behind you as you went by.
Right.
Again, this southbound train here, our counterpart.
Yep.
Here we are in Escadabo, Mexico. And again, I apologize for my pronunciation for Spanish. 1965. This is between Laredo and Mexico City.
Now, was this also part of the steam freight operation? Because that's a pretty massive water tank they got there too.
Well, I'm sure the water tank is old enough. Of course, it served passenger as well as freight. But by this time, passenger was all dieselized. Freight was not necessarily.
Right.
And again, with the commuter cars in Mexico City, this is train X4 is the number of the train. So these must have been fairly new at that point. They were air conditioned. And I'd have to look up and see where that train ran from and to.
Yeah. Do you do you know anything about where these were built or
No, I don't. I
the
don't know any
origin of
background
these
on them.
cars?
Right,
Okay. I mean, you can see that they're diesel electric, right? They're obviously throttling up when you're looking at this photo.
right. This is the coach yard in Mexico City.
Yeah, I was really impressed by this. These are some ornate looking coaches.
Well, I'm thinking that's a business car on the right.
Oh, okay. So you don't think that these were part of a standard passenger consist then?
I don't think so by that point.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. Again, some of our listeners may have better answers for us.
Right. But yeah, I mean, this looks straight out of 1920s passenger service, honestly.
But again, these are taken in August of '65, so we know that they're, you know, later pictures than that.
Well, right, but well preserved, I guess is my point. These are clearly, they're old passenger coaches. They've been used. They're well preserved. I mean, it's, yeah.
This is a Puertero, Mexico, again in 1965.
Now, with these carts that they've got, would those be loaded onto freight cars when the train pulls up?
I would think that's for baggage cars, more like a railway express service.
Okay.
And we're back to train 37 again in Mexico City.
Oh, yes. I guess a little higher definition. We talked about how Marty had been playing around with some of the different colorings and resolutions. I think we got a duplicate in here, but yes.
Again, we've seen this guy before at Escondido.
Yep.
And again in the yards in Mexico City.
Yeah. This is a different switch engine that we haven't seen before, but I think it's another American expat, if I had to guess.
Right.
Looks very much like an SW1 type of switch engine this time.
Right. Here we are again in Mexico City.
Yes.
At Valley de Mexico Yard.
So this is the first time we've seen, this is you've got the white tires on the Northern, you've got the front of the front of the locomotive is painted up all silver and white, and yeah.
Right.
Is that some kind of excursion service that they ran with these?
I have no idea, because again, I was just in there taking pictures.
Right.
This is taken at, this is train number 2. That would be the northbound Eagle. It's taken at a little town called Culiacon. Oh, excuse me, no, this is not train number 2, the Eagle. This is on the Southern Pacific operation. These are, again, slides that I did not take. This was taken in 1955.
Okay. Yeah, I see it says Pacifico there, so that was the Southern Pacific in Mexico.
Right, and again, they ran from Nogales down to Guadalajara.
Right.
Back to the roundhouse at Mexico City.
Yeah, you really kind of get the scope of it here. It's well, you can see a stall number 20 over there, so there's at least 22 stalls in the roundhouse. And our narrow gauge yard shot again.
Right.
And well, here we go.
Now you get your hot water somewhere.
Well, yeah, are they siphoning water right out of the boiler?
I think that's correct.
They're kind of looking at you like, why are you taking our photo? We're trying to sneak in and sneak out of here.
And again, this is on the narrow gauge operation in Mexico City.
Right.
Or Las Reyes, which is just outside Mexico City.
Yeah, you can see they've got a fire going in the firebox also.
Yes. And of course, the women are dressed in skirts too, you noticed.
Right.
This is leaving the yards in Mexico City. And again, back at San Luis Potosí at the station. This would have been in the morning after going overnight from Laredo.
Right. There's several passenger trains that are here at the station at this time.
Yeah, they had branch line service out there. Of course, all this unfortunately is gone.
Yeah. Oh,
And this is back again at the ESCO Escobedo.
Right. Yes,
Escobedo again.
I think that we got a few. I tried to pull duplicates out of here before we started, but here we go.
Here we are between Montezuma and Juarez. Pretty rough looking country out there.
Yeah. Looks like
and Tom, if you daydream about it, these pictures are taken almost 60 years ago, and probably lifestyle-wise, they're 30 years behind us. This would be like taking 1930s stuff and showing it today.
Well,
in the U.S., I mean.
Even in the 1930s, you're not seeing any real automation out here in the fields either. Hardly any tractors.
You got a guy with a horse-drawn plow in the field.
Right.
This shot is taken in Phoenix, Arizona in 1999. So this would just be when I was out there on business at the Santa Fe yards. This unit happened just to be there.
Yeah, and this kind of does give us it wraps up the program for us pretty well because it gives us a little more modern look at what the NDM power looked like at that time.
Right.
And we have a Santa Fe engine in the side as well.
Right, that's correct.
And was this in, it would have been at the time, the BNSF yard?
This is the yard in Phoenix, and this had been 1999, so this is actually BNSF property.
Right. All right, Rick. Well, thank you very much for the program. Definitely appreciate it. And thanks for sharing some of your memories and recollections of your trip down to Mexico with us.
Well, you're quite welcome, Tom. Let me know how I can help.
So, thank you everyone for tuning in. And this is going to be the conclusion of our January show. Make sure and stop back and see us again in February. Thank you.